Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support today. Are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling video game? Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. Create a wrestler, sign contracts, get into storylines, headline pay-per-views and shows, even build your own corporation from the ground up, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users, totally free. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, you want your names in the shoutouts like my good buddy John down in Texas, then shoot over to patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today. $15 a month contributor. You can co-host a live show with me. $7.50 a month contributors entered into a drawing to do the same. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you've got questions, comments, concerns, anything you'd like for us to talk about in a future episode, give us a shout at the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line 267-642-1160, and we will get to that in a future episode. Don't forget to check out our homepage at ProWrestling.com, but I have to jump right into the news. Breaking news tonight that Stephanie McMahon has officially resigned as the CEO and chairwoman of WWE. Nick Khan will now serve as the head CEO of the company, and this is what is the aftermath of the return of Vince McMahon to the company. Apparently, Triple H's job remains as the chief content officer, so he's still in charge of everything that is creative, talent, live events, all that stuff. But Stephanie McMahon is now going to go back on the leave of absence that she started last year before her father retired, which is very strange if you ask me. It's just a matter of my opinion, but I see this as being a very big wedge within their family, and it is a very important thing that Stephanie made a comment that there's a quote there that says, naturally some animosity, and she used the word angst to describe the situation in WWE after the announcement of her father returning to the company. You have to wonder what happened when the pandemic first hit. She had a whole group that she worked with. Tons of those people were let go. Now she finally came into a position where she was doing an amazing job leading the company with Nick Khan and Triple H. And now it looks like there's a lot of confusion going around the company. Fightful Select has a report out there that there are talents that are confused by this resignation. What is it going to do for the rest of the company? What does it mean for Stephanie McMahon going forward? What does it mean for Nick Khan, who stands to make a fortune if they do indeed sell the company? And then what happens if Vince McMahon does take over creative? There's been a lot of changes this week, courtesy of his returning to the company, and there are tons of talents both on the roster, in the production group, crew, everything. There are a lot of people who would be very frustrated if Vince were to take over. And a lot of people are saying that they are really hoping that this means that a sale is coming in the imminent future, because it is just one more concerning action taking place in WWE after this return of Vince McMahon to the company. Not that I want to trivialize that, but I do have a lot of news to get to in a condensed amount of time. Jay White, the former two-time IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, is looking like he will be a free agent very shortly. On February 11th, he's going to have a loser leaves New Japan match against Hukilo, who was supposed to be on WWE's radar, but now apparently WWE has had interest in Jay White for over a year. His contract is coming due. He is not expected to renew. Not that one couldn't be worked out, but right now, it is expected that he wants to be in the United States. And the question is AEW or WWE? Apparently, WWE is very much on board with trying to sign him and get him to an exclusive contract, and really has been looking at him for quite some time. And this could be an opportunity for them to secure a top flight talent, one that maybe people in North America aren't as familiar with as they were when AJ Styles made the jump, but certainly somebody they could build the franchise with and really bring a new set of opponents to his repertoire and give him a whole nother audience to expose his incredible talents to. In addition, this week, former New Japan star Carl Fredericks, who has been with New Japan for the past several years, he left the company back in August of 2022. He's a free agent. Well, apparently he has officially already signed with NXT. He will be reporting to their facilities and training with the WWE talent very soon. So there's a lot going on in terms of free agency, WWE signings, and all sorts of things in that world. On the same topic of Vince McMahon, apparently there is a situation where there's a potential breach of fiduciary lawsuit being filed against Vince McMahon after he forced his way back onto the board. There's some online correspondence that are going on that were used as part of the complaint against him, and possibly other directors or officers of the WWE board, and it affects their shareholders. And so this could be a huge hang up in Vince's plans. He does hold, legally speaking, the rights to come back to the company, but there are definitely some people who feel that this was not in the best interest of the shareholders and that should be held accountable, and we'll have to see how that plays out over the next several weeks. There's just so much going on with WWE and Vince McMahon right now. It's hard to wrap your mind around all of it. I mean, let's be honest. He was the biggest story last year, and he's probably the biggest story already this year. And there was some conversation about who might buy WWE. Two things about that. Eric Bischoff on his 83 Weeks podcast spoke at length about the possibility of the company being purchased by the Saudi Arabians and the company going back to being a private entity instead of being a publicly traded company. That is a possibility, though you expect it would take somewhere in the neighborhood of between $7 and $11 billion to make that happen. So you would need a whole lot of money to make that happen. Not sure if anybody is looking to lay that kind of cash down. But when you look at the company, I mean, they just announced that they have outsold every WrestleMania previously, with WrestleMania 39 coming up. The previous WrestleMania record was 2016's WrestleMania 32 at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. They didn't say what the new record amount was, but it is a huge number. It smashes that. And a lot of people said, yeah, but it's 2 nights. I get that. But their shows as of late, the Royal Rumble, the Royal Rumble outsold any Royal Rumble in history, and that's a one-night show. Same thing goes for the UK, the biggest event in history, doing Clash at the Castle, Extreme Rules, War Games, Survivor Series. All of those were the highest grossing of WWE's history in terms of those individual shows. So there's definitely something to that. And when you look at the potential sale of the company, those types of numbers are going to help. Now, there's actually odds out there. If you look and try to find these things, it's really funny to me that there are people who put odds out there about who is going to buy the company. And right now, the odds on favorite is Comcast at a minus 140. Disney plus 350, Endeavor Group Holdings plus 900, Amazon at plus 950, Netflix plus 1200, Fox plus 1200, Liberty Media plus 1500, Warner Brothers Discovery plus 1500, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Redbird Capital, who just purchased the XFL, a plus 2000, Sovereign Wealth Fund of Saudi Arabia plus 2000, and I find it funny, Tony Khan and All Elite Wrestling at a plus 3000. But those are legitimate odds that you can go and take a bet on for who's going to purchase WWE. And Bovada is the service that's taking those bets. So if you really feel like you have an inside track as to who's, making the purchase, go ahead and try to invest some money. It'd be interesting to see how those things happen. Other WWE news, MVP in the news this week, trying to reform the Hurt Business. I've said previously on this show that I think that's a great idea because it creates another faction for the Bloodline and other groups like the Brawling Brutes and just all these different factions to work with. I think that's a good idea, and I think it puts Bobby Lashley in a better position. I just didn't want to see Lashley as a heel yet. I'm not prepared for that yet, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out over time. Other WWE news, Seth Rollins entering the Royal Rumble. So at this point, we've got Seth Rollins, Theory, Lashley, Kofi Kingston, Santos Escobar, Ricochet. I don't think the eventual winner has been announced yet. I really don't. I think we're probably going to see either a Cody Rhodes win or maybe The Rock, maybe some other surprise that would shock a lot of people. I think Drew McIntyre is always a possibility if they really do want to split up those championships, but we'll have to wait and see. Kylie Ray, who made an appearance on WWE programming recently, a former AEW star. She went to Impact, had a lot of things she was dealing with the last couple years. Did have a tryout with WWE against Dana Brooke on the main event a few weeks ago. They have not officially offered her a contract, but I'm really hoping in her case that she gets that opportunity. It could be a great way for her to turn her career around, a trajectory. Great talent, never really had the platform she needed to be to maximize her skill set, but hopefully WWE jumps on that real soon. And then WWE news on Chelsea Green apparently has signed to WWE months ago and is just waiting for creative to give her marching orders, basically, about what she's supposed to be doing. Matt Cardona, her husband, the former Zack Ryder, not currently signed, but there is definitely a sense within WWE that could be something that comes back and happens in the near future if they decide to go that direction. He's definitely open to a return. I would not be surprised if we see that happen. And let's be honest, I think he would get a great pop. Brian Myers, another one who recently re-signed with Impact, who also said that he wouldn't mind making a return to WWE at some point. So we'll have to see how that plays out down the line. The other major story of the night, Stone Cold Steve Austin posting a workout video on Instagram of him working out. He was pumping some 40-pound dumbbells. And look, I'm going to say it the only way I can. The dude looks ripped. I've never thought of Stone Cold Steve Austin as being a muscle guy, but certainly at his age, like he's 58 years old. That guy's got bigger guns than half the roster right now. If you go on Instagram, Steve Austin BSR, and take a look at it, he's got 5.6 million followers. There's a video of him working out. It's absolutely insane. I actually hope we do see him back. I thought he did a great job last year, and I think it really added something, especially without The Undertaker being there. It would be nice to see where that goes. Well wishes being sent tonight to superstar Billy Graham, WWE Hall of Famer, not doing so well. His wife posted that she needs some prayers. He's having a lot of issues medically speaking, infections in his ears that have spread to the bone, his skull, infectious disease doctors working with him talking about his electrolytes are off. They need to get him antibiotics and things like that. He's been in bad health for quite a few years, so well wishes to superstar Billy Graham. I know that historically he's been known as a relatively controversial character because he has been very outspoken and critical of WWE programming, but don't want to see bad things happen to anybody. So hopefully he gets better real soon. And then the last couple items, we'll start with Tully Blanchard, former AEW manager, now apparently completely done with the company, does not see a path back. And whatever happened, there must have been something going on in the back. He said he's no longer with AEW or Ring of Honor or any of the subsidiaries thereof. He said that sounded pretty legal, didn't it? Later on, he noted that his departure, and this conversation, by the way, was when he was on the two-man power trip. He made it very clear his contract's up and he's gone, and he's likely he's going to continue to participate in autograph signings, but his wrestling career is, quote, probably over. And he referenced later on that he basically doesn't see a path back to AEW for whatever reason. Must have been something going on in the back. And he also doesn't see an opportunity to go back to WWE. So this pretty much may be the swan song for Tully Blanchard. For those who've been listening to the show since its onset, he was the first interview I ever did. We had a great conversation in Cherry Hill, New Jersey at a horror WrestleCon kind of combination thing a couple years back, and it was a wonderful experience. It was the first time I ever got to interview a professional wrestler, somebody who I really loved growing up as a member of the Four Horsemen. So wish him well in all his future endeavors, but not going to be apparently with AEW or WWE. Along the same vine, though, his daughter, Tessa Blanchard, in the news today because she and Daga, her husband, announcing their divorce. They only got married in the summer of 2020, but apparently they are separating on amicable terms. They are still friends, but just decided to part their ways. So sad to hear that. It's a gut punch to both of them, I'm sure. But, things just didn't work out. But again, seeing all the Blanchards in the news at the same time is relatively poetic, along with the fact that Women of Wrestling, where Tessa Blanchard used to perform, just saw its highest viewership of the entire season at 360,000 total viewers, which was ahead of the previous episode, was 358,000. And the key demographic had 82,000 viewers, 18 to 49. The weird thing I thought was the average viewer is 61.8 years old, which is a lot older than you would expect, maybe, but still trending in the right direction. This is not the first time Women of Wrestling has tried to be a thing, but this is probably the most successful they've ever been, and good for them. It's always better to have another brand in the business. We'll have to see how it plays out. That's the company that's using AJ Lee as a producer for the show, funded by Jeannie Buss and a group of other people, so hopefully they do very well. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode where we'll run down all the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks as always to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com. They produce any music or sound we use in our shows. Today's show is sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games by going to frowrestling.com and click the icon in the middle of the screen to pick up your copy today. And if you're looking for your next career move, considering college, university life, just need some formal training for your next career decision, you can go to our sister website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs. As Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Dr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us tonight. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you in our next episode.